Hey Queens, so I am back with season 3 of Mr. Robot recaps. Obviously I look a little different. As we can see, there is no hair. That is called cancer and chemotherapy. So, season 3 premiered October 13th or October 11th. And I think I was around, I want to say, mm, the second week into chemo or something like that. I don't know, third week. I was pretty sick, anyways. I was sick before and everything like that in the hospital for a while. If you want to go watch that video, you can watch that video somewhere on my channel and everything like that. So, I did watch this episode. I kind of really wasn't all there, like watching it because I was like very sleepy, sick, etc., etc., etc. And, you know, I, I was pretty sure that this would come out in the summer, anyways, but it didn't. I know I had mentioned that eventually, but anyways, we are in episode 3.0 Power Saver Mode. And before that, also, I want to say thank you to Stephanie Corneliuson because, we did message together while I was in the hospital, so that's another thing in and of itself. But anywho, we do see little snippets of season 2. As always, with every Mr. Robot episode, we kind of more or less get clips from previous episodes, previous seasons now, about kind of the main highlights that will kind of come up a little or have some relation to what we're going to see in this episode. Obviously, what we should kind of expect for in this season. And I'm pretty sure in my season 2 recaps, or pretty sure season 1 also, I would always be like, would this lead to something later on in the series? Would this lead on to something in the next episode? Maybe like a season finale? We are seeing more of that. Obviously, as the season progresses, we will see more and more and more. I think there's going to be 5 seasons, if I am correct. I'm pretty sure Sam Esmail said he was only really aiming for 5 seasons of this series. Could there be more episodes? Could there be more seasons? Who knows if he really wants to make more? I'm pretty sure he only said 5 seasons and that was it. Like, he kind of had like a plan for Mr. Robot. And again, if I guess USA is like pushing for more seasons, there could be. I'm not sure. But, anyways, we open it with Tyrell at the roller coaster. We have the city in like this mass blackout, I guess like mini panic, if you want to put it that way. We see the bank where in a previous season we saw this lady go in and she getting it like I think the title on her house or something. There's no money. When they were burning money, we saw the shootout. We're at the pier again. We see the graveyard scene. We're seeing White Rose, Angela, Darlene, this hideout, and then the gunshot with Elliot, which was the season 2 finale, and when he mentions control and illusion. And it's kind of like, does Elliot ever really have control? And is everything an illusion? And with that being said, because I did see this season kind of on and off, and obviously as I do more recaps, I do rewatch the episodes, and I do take notes on like the whole season and as I talk about this. So more, if you've seen my recaps before, you know that, but for anyone new watching that, that's what I do. And now I feel like personally, I'm like, I don't know where this series is headed in terms of, I get like a very kind of sci-fi, I don't want to say supernatural vibe, but I think we could get there maybe one day. I'm not sure. But I also do wonder um, if maybe this control and illusion idea that Elliot kind of asks us, the audience, as he talks to himself, is what if Elliot is just in some random coma overdose thing from maybe season 1 or sometime in season 1, like let's say the Mr. Robot timeline, and all of this that's been happening is just a dream that he's gonna wake up from. I mean, I don't know. I just wonder, like, at some points, I'm like, I wonder if there would ever be a twist, like when a series finale, if we would ever see something that kind of crazy, so to speak. But, anyways, we see Tyrell and Elliot's on the floor and everything like this, and that is kind of what was left off on. But before that, we had the grand opening at this barbecue, and this is a Red Wheelbarrow barbecue, which if you were at New York Comic Con, you would have known. I'm pretty sure that's where it was. Or maybe it was Los Angeles Comic Con. I don't know. But at one of the Comic Cons, they had the Red Wheelbarrow barbecue. If you had the eCoin perks, was, I want to say about every week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, the Mr. Robot Twitter would tweet out that there's like a free thing you could redeem. I got the Angela and Darlene Funko Pops, an F Society mask, and I think a travel battery pack. I know they give out barbecue sauce. Weird. An Amazon Alexa, and there's a couple of other things that they gave out. But anyways, this is a new character. This is a new actor. So Bobby Cannavale, I forget the name of his character, is at this grand opening. He's talking about a milkshake, and he's debating, I guess more or less, on what he constitutes as the next visit to get that free milkshake. So is he like, am I gonna leave the store and just walk back in and I can get a free milkshake because that's my next visit? Or is it like, let's say 24 hours from this visit? I don't know what he really wants, but he's going back and forth. But he's like, look, I don't make these rules. Like on your next visit, you can get it because you're punching his card, and like I guess like I don't know, your fifth meal, you get a free milkshake. I don't know, but he gets a call and everything. He's like, that's not good. That's dead again. That was Tyrell with Elliot on the floor, bleeding out, so to speak. And he talks to that girl and he's like, you know what? There's something about principles, and when we lose our principles, there's something chaotic that is basically the outcome. So not really sure where he was going with that. Maybe with Tyrell or Elliot, like a foreshadowing of sorts and everything like that. And that girl is just like, okay, all this over a milkshake and stuff like this. So again, Tyrell, Elliot's on the floor bleeding out. So Bobby Cannavale's character walks in and everything like this, and he's like, you know what? We'll see. We'll see if Elliot makes it, because Tyrell's freaking out, I guess you can say. He's freaking out because he just shot Elliot. He's like, oh my gosh, like, I just shot him. Like, is he going to be okay? And like, I mean, they've been going on this stage 2 thing since, I think, the beginning of season 2. But if you really think about it, I guess season 1, it's Seal Mountain and all this thing and how they wanted to destroy all the files and everything. The Dark Army was supposed to do this and do that. But then they find out that paper records are still there. So it really wasn't going to be like a one-shot thing. Like, I guess Elliot probably thought about when he had F Society in season 1. They're doing all of that. So again, that led into season 2, and now season 3 we're seeing like, oh hey, the beginning, like, well, it's kind of where we left off in a way. So then he kind of just leaves and gets in this for sale car, and they're talking about a surgery and everything like this, and then he writes Angela Moss on his hand after they mention Angela Moss in a phone call. So it's just like, Angela. Now, Angela has been very, I want to say duplicitous, but at the same time, I don't know if Two-Face would really fit her, because I feel like that sounds very Maleficent in a way. But again, we don't know her true intentions. So she works with Evil Corp. She works with F Society, if you think about it. But at the same time, she doesn't. Because I feel like she has this personal agenda, and she's just kind of doing these things, and I wouldn't say just to do them or to fit in or to even be like, oh, because I'm on the FBI side or she's on Elliot's side, something like that. But I feel like she's doing them according to her own, I don't know if there would be an inner conflict with her, but her own inner plan that she has going on in her head. And again, that's why I say if Angela Moss is F Society, if she is E Corp, if she is being hunted down by the FBI, because of Darlene, what Darlene told Dom, if anything, and stuff like that, it's kind of wondering, does Angela play a bigger part in this? And of course, with White Rose in season 2 and everything like this, it's kind of, you kind of wonder about Angela. I feel like maybe people are going to overlook her, or there's probably something that people haven't really picked up on Angela, and maybe she does play a bigger role. I don't know. But basically there's been this other big blackout again in New York and stuff like this. So, ever since the 5/9 and everything like that, New York has basically been in shambles. Well, the whole world has, but specifically we're based in New York with Mr. Robot. So, there's a huge blackout, and then there's this E Corp nuclear power plant. So Evil Corp has a power plant. And there's this guy, I guess, like, you want to say, like, giving a tour, so to speak. And he's like, oh, we have backup generators and everything like this. And he starts talking about parallel universes and everything like this. And this is where I thought, are we gonna come out of reality and go into a fantasy? And I think I've mentioned this before with, I want to say maybe season 1. And I was thinking about Lady Gaga, with her Born This Way album, she's like half motorcycle, half human. And her whole thing there was like living halfway between reality and fantasy. And I thought, Elliot kind of does that with Mr. Robot. Like it's in his own mind, so it's a fantasy that his dad's still alive. He's the only one who can see him really. And when White Rose is talking about this afterwards, White Rose is talking about conjunction and like better or worse and everything. Just having this conversation, and when we get closer to it, we see kind of photos, Elliot and everything like this, and both is unstable. Stage 2, like what are we gonna do with stage 2? Because the person that White Rose is with is kind of saying like, I could have done this, I could have done it better. Why have someone who isn't all there? And I was thinking, I said, okay, with the nuclear power plant, the way it's set up, we're gonna have parallel universes. It's either gonna be like supernatural, sci-fi, kind of a mix later on, which I don't know. I feel like that'd be a very weird tangent, so to speak, to go off on. But then White Rose is saying, well, you know what? The dad used to work for us, and now his son does. So Mr. Robot, Christian Slater's character, used to work for White Rose. And now we have Elliot working for White Rose. So it's like, man, Elliot's dead. Now with Angela working with E-Corp, does that mean Angela's mother maybe worked for Evil Corp too? Maybe it was the same thing. Maybe Elliot's dad and Angela's mom are working together, kind of in a way like Elliot and Angela are. But of course, only time will tell with the series as we progress into further seasons. But it kind of makes you wonder about things when you take a second look about it. And he's saying that they only need Elliot, and time brought Elliot to them. And, it's no coincidence because White Rose is like, like time's ticking, blah, blah, blah. Kind of like the McTwist, I think is his name, the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. It's kind of like, don't be late, don't be late. Because White Rose is always like time and this, and like time is money, so to speak. I guess you can say like a simpler explanation for White Rose's thought process. And White Rose is saying that, you know what, we need Elliot's rage. Now we've seen Elliot break down and have like nervous breakdowns or just crying, like I guess like a panic attack or like a depressive mood swing, I don't know. And after White Rose is done with everything for Elliot can die. So that's when I thought, if Elliot's father and Angela's mother died of cancer, maybe, just maybe, Angela and Elliot would end up the same dying of cancer, or Angela first, Elliot witnesses it, and then they find out something about their parents. Maybe another gunshot, maybe to the head, I don't know. But it just makes you wonder, you kind of start thinking about this, especially as this was like, the first episode for season 3. It kind of makes you think, you're like, like Angela has been shady, but now that I think about it, like when this premiered, I was kind of thinking, I was just like, there's just a lot going on here. Like my brain just cannot compute. It just can't. So then we zoom out into the nuclear power plant, and it kind of looks like an eye. And like to me, I was like, this looks like Optimus Prime's eye, like in Transformers, or I want to say like Pacific Rim, but probably Transformers. And then I was like, is this a time machine? Like, are we going to be making a time machine? Like, that's where I thought sci-fi. Or, I don't know, supernatural. I really wasn't sure what this was supposed to mean, or like the eye of the beholder. Or maybe something like Great Gatsby, where we have like that poster that's like looking over the city, I believe, or something like that. And like he's always watching like Big Brother. I don't know, like it just made me wonder what Sam Esmail's idea for this series is, in this TV show, and our characters. But I was wondering if we're going to see like a more omniscient character eventually pop up, that is the puppet master, so to speak. And I guess we can like assume like, oh, like it's White Rose, because we did see I want to say the season 1 finale, where White Rose was basically there and talking about like how Rome was burning and everything. It was like, playing the little harp and stuff in the background. And it's wondering, for you watching the show in the beginning thinking White Rose is the puppet master, but then again, as the series progresses, maybe White Rose isn't the puppet master, so to speak, and we're gonna again see some omniscient character who's been overlooking everything. and planned stage 2, planned F Society, planned Angela and Elliot and this and that. And maybe that's why White Rose is like, it isn't a coincidence because it's all planned out. It isn't this or that because so and so had already set this into motion many, 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 many years before. Who knows? Or maybe it was all planned Elliot's dad had and he died. I mean, we're never really going to know until the series ends, so to speak. So, anywho, we find out that the eye, kind of goes into Elliot's eye, so to speak. So as it's zooming out, we kind of zoom out and it's Elliot. And he's kind of just like, where am I, so to speak? And he's like, am I here? Are you still here? Like, are we alive, so to speak? And he's talking to us as the audience, but also talking to himself in his mind and everything like that. So he's also asking, like, what did we miss or what happened and everything like that. And Angela walks in and she's like, oh, like, you're awake and everything like this. And Elliot's like, before she woke up, he's like, I have control or something like that. And when Angela walks in, it kind of makes you wonder, why is Angela here? Because obviously Angela is living in that apartment and fancy, she stepped up her game ever since she started working with Evil Corp. But then it's like, why Angela? And that's why I say, yes, we kind of figured Evil Corp and White Rose run Elliot, but Angela, again, is she in on this? Is she in on this with, let's say, Joanna and Tyrell? Is she in on this with Dom and the FBI? Or is Dom really the odd man out, so to speak? Does she really not know? Is she really not involved with White Rose? Is the FBI not part of Evil Corp? Or is there like a rat in the FBI that's part of Evil Corp? I think we won't really find out for a little bit. But anyways, Angela says that he was brought here yesterday and he's been in a coma for like a week. Well, I guess he's been knocked out for a week, not really in a coma. And then when Elliot asks who, she's like, the people you're working with. And that's why I was like, the people he's working with. Like, Angela's character here kind of had a very special choice of words, or very significant choice of words to say the people you're working with. And to say that again begs that question, like, who is Angela working for? Who is Elliot working for? Who are they working for? Are they even working for the same entity, so to speak? And you just kind of wonder about every other character in the series when you think about it. And when she said that she didn't recognize anyone but Tyrell, that's when Elliot was like, okay, so then this actually happened. I was shot. I did see Tyrell. Tyrell isn't a figment of his imagination. But then, knowing Elliot, he could be a figment of his imagination. You just never know, again, anything like this. So Angela was like, you've been shot and everything like this. And she did what she was told. And the FBI stopped by, and the Dark Army and everything like this. They said that if the cops were told anything, I guess pretty sure by Elliot and Angela, I mean, especially Angela herself, she'd be killed. And we did see in season 2 that the Dark Army is willing to kill them, so to speak, when they killed Darlene's boyfriend. Now, would they really kill Angela? I think with how White Rose says, when we're done, we can dispose of Elliot. Angela doesn't seem like she's done. She doesn't seem that important. But she does seem that they still have more use for her. So I don't know if we'll ever see an end to Angela's character. I feel like we may see an end to her before we see an end to Elliot. So again, it's very confusing to think about when you think about parallel universes and better and worse and White Rose. Who is White Rose working for? Who is White Rose truly? Who is Evil Corp? Who is the puppet master, so to speak? And what is Elliot's bigger picture here that his father didn't finish, that he and Angela kind of are both playing a role in, which again, like White Rose says, isn't just chance or fate. It's kind of like planned out. It's something that someone kind of constructed. They had this plan for them. And I think, again, as the series progresses, we are going to see eventually the person at the top of this food chain, so to speak. And as we move on, Elliot is like, oh, like, I'm going to leave and everything like this. He opens and closes the door. And then he's like, well, I need some clothes to change into. So he's walking down the streets, he's going to that building. And we see some motorcycles pass him by. He's going up these stairs and he finds out that everything was wiped down. Mr. Robot is gone. You know, him, the beast, so to speak, that kind of led Elliot to do all these things. Hack the FBI, so to speak. Hack himself to an extent. And, you know, Steel Mountain and this and that and his stage 2 plan and Tyrell. And it's just, I guess, him thinking, like, wow, like, since I've been shot here and this has been wiped down, not only physically, but mentally, so to speak. And also, if you think about it, like, technologically, because, you know, wiping down, like, a server or whatever, I don't know, like, it erased his memories to a certain extent and everything like this. And then he's talking about, you know, this one world government and everything like this, corporation. I was like, Trump. And he sees this SUV, etc. And then he's walking, and then this guy at the apartments where the SUVs are outside of, it's like, hey, Elliot, you know, like, oh, I added some chrome, I guess, like, detailing, like, railways, I don't know, to the apartments he lives in, about to yawn. And when you think about it, like, that guy's just trying to sell apartments because I don't know if people are, like, buying apartments here, Mr. Robot, so to speak, in the series with I want to say eCoin or anything like that, what they have. And he's like, oh, well, you know, kind of need to sell them. I'm not like, I'm going to shut down. And obviously, I guess Elliot would be homeless if that whole apartment complex shuts down because he wouldn't have a place to live. And he was like, oh, you know, like, I think he mentioned that someone stopped by to see him or whatever. So then he goes up the stairs and everything like this, and we see that it's Darlene, and he's saying, like, oh, you know, like, you shouldn't be here and stuff like this, because Elliot knows that not only, I guess, is Darlene in danger because of him, but she's probably being followed and he's being followed. But by who, it's always hard to tell. I mean, we're really never going to know who's chasing these people down, so to speak, and everything like this. So then, you know, she's like, you know what, you just need to, like, shut up and everything like this. It's like, you need to go, everything. And then she's like, Cisco's dead. And I'm next. And she's kind of having, like, this little mini, like, oh, like, you know, I'm next, so to speak. Not really breaking down, but, like, I'm next in the sense. She's trying to tell Elliot, like, look, like, they killed someone that I love. Don't you think that they'll kill someone you love? And now, again, that could be Darlene or that could be Angela. Or Angela could get Darlene killed. Or Darlene could get Angela killed. Like, it can work both ways, so to speak. We don't know who they want to hurt first, who is worth more. And if the FBI isn't in cahoots with Evil Corp, then, I mean, why wouldn't they get rid of Darlene? And why wouldn't they go after Dom, too, if they wanted to? Or, you know, stuff like that. So they're basically having this little argument and stuff and everything like this. And she's like, well, you know, where did you go? Like, you know, you just vanish. You just have these things that you just leave. And I never hear from you for anything and stuff like this. So they mention Angela and the FBI hack and stuff like this. And there's one point where Darlene gets mad because after telling Elliot that the FBI had questioned her and everything, he's like, well, what'd you tell them? And she's kind of like, I could have been dead. Like, screw you, Elliot. And Elliot's like, oh, sorry. It was like, anywho, back to what I was saying. And it's kind of just like, Darlene is just like, he's never going to change, you know. Elliot's always, in his own mind, he's always thinking, what am I going to do? Like, what's next? Stage 2. White Rose, maybe Tyrell, and what is Angela? And, like, I've been shot. Like, I've been gone for a week. I went to where I was shot. Like, everything's gone. Nothing's like what it seems, but it is real. It did happen, but where am I now? Like, what's the plan, I guess, so to speak, that we can say. And anyways, she's just mad at him and everything like this. So they talk about the back door and the Evil Corp access the building and their recovery program. And basically, with that being said, Elliot is willing to kill people and stuff like this. But Elliot does get mad because when Darlene kind of questions him about killing people, he's kind of like, it wasn't me. And now when he says that, we do know that, I mean, obviously it is Elliot, and even though Mr. Robot is Elliot and Elliot is Mr. Robot, it's kind of for Elliot thinking, when he takes over, it's not him. Physically, it's still Elliot running F Society, Evil Corp to an extent, I guess you can say, doing these things and getting everyone killed, so to speak, or willing to kill people to destroy their files and, like, putting the whole world in this state of shock and panic. But Elliot, I guess, can't come to terms with that. So with everything like that, Darlene's kind of just like, I've lost my brother. Like, like she's always like, I guess she knows that she lost him, but at the same time, it's kind of like to see Elliot again, like just having like this thing, like, oh, like a blank stare, I mean, like, it wasn't me. It's kind of like, who are you? Like, she knows she can't help him. And in a way, Angela does when we think about that graveyard scene where it's like, who is he talking to? And he's like, you don't see them. And then, like, when he turns, he's like, I'm talking to no one. So that's why I'm like, it's so weird to think about. Like, that Darlene has to deal with that as she deals with the FBI, as she deals with Cisco being shot, as she deals with being hunted by the Dark Army. Let's say maybe Angela, they'd be like, oh, hey, do you know Darlene? Like, you know where she is? Like, what's her number? Like, where does she normally go? Which, I mean, they could track down Darlene, obviously, but it's just easier, to use Angela to be like, hey, keep an eye on so and so that hangs out with your brother, or so and so who hangs out with your boyfriend, as you saw in season one. Things like this, like who do they know that they can get closer to so they don't really have to waste time like tracking someone down? That's what I wonder. And as he said that he gets on his laptop and Darlene's like, the internet's been down. Like, I mean, the whole world is down if you think about it because of what Elliot did and everything like this. He's like, you know what? Just stop, help, and just we're gonna work together in a way if you think about it. But I think Darlene and Elliot are too conflicting because of their strained, I don't want to say relationship, but strained relationship as siblings growing up with an abusive father, if you think about it. Because I don't think Darlene and Elliot really ever saw eye to eye growing up. Because Elliot was kind of, I guess, being like physically abused by his father, like, thrown out a window and this and that. And that led to like kind of a mental breakdown also with his mom. And then if you think about it, he kind of went off on his own, was addicted to morphine and everything like this. But then we do see Angela again that somehow he is able to have a connection to. And even though he doesn't he disappears, he doesn't seem to push that button with Darlene. And that's why I say maybe Darlene is not just mad because he vanishes and disappears and they're siblings, but maybe there's something deeper there that she wishes she had with him, like he has with, like, let's say Angela, or with anyone else that knows him. Like, oh, hey, you disappeared, but like it's always still fine. But with her, it's not only takes her off or sets her off the edge, or maybe it's not just like the sibling inside of her as a sister, like, where is my little brother, or something like that. But just more like she can't ever get to Elliot, and she's the closest to him. I think there's something there that's really ticking her off about it. And like they say, of course, Cisco and being hunted by the Dark Army, of course, I mean, add that to it and everything like this. So, anyways, they're walking to this underground hidden club, computer hacker, I guess, kind of a deal, and everything like this. So, they're going to see what they're going to do. And, I guess Elliot wants to rid himself of what he's done and make the world a better place by, in a way, I guess, undoing everything he's ever done. Now, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't really think he can erase those consequences of his actions. But to him, he probably thinks or assumes he's going to get something done. I want to say redemption, but I don't think that's the right word. But I guess revise history to a liking and an outcome he feels either should have been, or that is going to be more beneficial than harmful, and not really what was expected, but even better than expected. But again, knowing Elliot, he can always switch back into Mr. Robot. Darlene can do something Dark Army. Angela can walk in. Angela can be whatever. I don't know, like Evil Corp can interfere. So again, we don't really know Elliot's thought process at times, what Darlene is doing, what Angela's doing, what White Rose is doing in the background, for sure. I mean, we don't know that. So there's always this weird thing as they walk into this place and they want, to make everything better and, for life. And before like they get online and everything, they kind of need to, like, oh, hey, is there like a free computer around, so to speak. So anyways, they're gonna get online. He's helping this guy with this game and stuff like this, and then there's Dark Army people there, and Darlene starts panicking, and he's, like, stay calm, like, they're here for me, and like they're not gonna like do anything to you. But again, if Darlene is expendable, that is probably interchangeable with Angela. Because I'm pretty sure they want Elliot. Elliot seems to be the more intelligent character, so to speak. Elliot seems to be the one who's really running stage 2, even though he really isn't, as we see behind the scenes with White Rose and Evil Corp and this and Price and anything like that. So it's kind of wondering, like, who is Elliot? And obviously, if Darlene is expendable again, Angela could be. But anyways, she hides in the bathroom. You know, she's gonna have like a mental breakdown and stuff. She's like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die here," and stuff like this. Like, you know, and then she's like calling for help. I believe she's calling the FBI. Maybe she's calling Dom. I'm not really sure. But you know, she's like, "Oh my god, you know, like I need help. Like I'm gonna die, girl," and stuff like this. You know, there's a knock on her door and it's a dark army. So they go to Ellie at the computer and he's like, oh, like I'm working, like don't bother me and everything like this. And I think the game that's going on, it's like the final round or something. Like whatever's happening there, like that's still happening while Elliot's doing what he has to do here. And Darlene's kind of just like, Elliot, like it's serious, you know, like the Dark Army's here. Like she's trying to give off that vibe, but Elliot's obviously not picking up on it, and since they don't really connect, so to speak. And then when they just unplug it, like the hacking and stuff like this, Elliot's just like, what? Like, what did you do? Like, you just like unplug the thing. I guess it's kind of like, you ever seen those videos? Like, people are like are really intensely on a game. They're just like, and then someone unplugs the TV. It's like, no, like, what'd you do? Or like, I think those Jimmy Kimmel things where like people are watching the Super Bowl and then they unplug the TV and people are like, no, because they're like so into it. Like, that's basically what they did. And they're just like, you need to walk with us. And so when that happens, it's just like, where are they going to go from here? What's really going to happen? Is Elliot going to get attacked? Is Darlene going to get shot in front of him? Or they're going to walk out and get gunned down? Or they're going to walk out like, I don't know, they freaking kill Angela? Who knows? They shoot up the place, but obviously that didn't happen. So, you know, they're walking out and stuff, and they're like, okay, you know, like go down some alley or something like that. And I think it's like, you know, you kind of want to join me and you kind of want to leave with me, is what Bobby Cannavale's character is saying, because he's like, you see that, man? That's the FBI and stuff. Now, obviously, in a way, the FBI is following Elliot, probably because of Darlene. But then again, Darlene was kind of having like a moment in the bathroom where she was calling the FBI because, you know, she's like freaking out and like, oh, I'm being hunted and stuff like this. And they're here. So it's kind of like, how is he there? Which is why I say, who's working for who here? Like, how is this going to lead full circle? I mean, obviously back to Elliot, but how is this going to lead into like a bigger picture here and everything like this? So he tells her like, oh, you know, got this laptop on the floor, you know, like look them up on this motor vehicle thing, you got their license plates and everything like this. He's like, write it down for me. And then he calls this OnStar. He's like, oh, I have a stolen vehicle and blah blah blah. Like he's posing, I guess, like as a cop or whatever. He's like, I need y'all to slow it down for me and everything like this. And then as we see, as they're like basically being chased by the FBI because they have Darlene, so that's probably why they're there. We see like the lights in the background. He slows down that car by calling OnStar, and we're just like, what? Like he has, like, I mean that's smart, but like we're like, what? Like who is this guy really? I'm pretty sure that's what Darlene and Elliot are thinking, because like, how did he know how to do this or do that? Like, I mean, they're not asking the questions, but I guess they know better, like not to ask questions or to talk when talked to. And he's like, who wants barbecue? So again, we go to Red Wheelbarrow Barbecue. I have such a tough time saying that and everything like this. And he's like, oh, you know what? Whatever. Like, punch my card, Darlene. Go get us some snacks. You know, like make us a sandwich, woman. I guess in a way, if you want to translate it into a more common sense term, like that's basically what he told Angela. I mean, Darlene, and she's like, you know, like screw you. Like I'm gonna like do my own thing. Like screw your food. Like whatever, and stuff like this. So she goes over there and everything like this, and you know what? That's it. So he's telling Elliot, you know, we took the bullet out, but we can always put the bullet back in. Now, obviously, they're not gonna like put it back in, but like, you know, pew, like put it back in. Like they're gonna shoot Elliot again. Like if I guess he doesn't do what they want him to do or anything like this, like, you know, they'll get rid of him. Which is why I said, if Elliot is expendable, what are Darlene and Angela? I mean, Elliot's kind of like the mastermind, as it seems to them. So Elliot's kind of like, oh, you know, like they won't do anything to me. But if they're telling Elliot like we can put the bullet back in as easily as we took it out, where does that leave him? You get what I'm saying? So Elliot was just, he's making too much noise according to this guy. And, he was trying to shut the back door down. They're like, why? Because he's like, I want to call this whole thing off and everything. Like Elliot's just, I guess he's not feeling it. He's not in the mood for what he was doing and everything like this. So he's like, are you sure? And he's like, I want it dead. And he's like, you know what? Okay, fine. That's it. That's what you want. We'll do it. And that's where it's kind of like Elliot, I guess, in a way, is like thinking like, oh, it's that easy. But at the same time, we know it's not going to be that easy because they obviously were not liking what he was doing. That they heard so much noise that Elliot was making, and if he kind of threatened him that way, is it really okay? Or they're like, okay, well, we'll try at a later time when Elliot's breaking down and we can get into Mr. Robot and not Elliot. Now, who knows if they know that part yet? Like, if they know how to, I guess, condition him, so to speak, to be like, okay, we're talking to Elliot now. Like, what can we say? What can we do? When do we wait to get Mr. Robot? Bring it full circle, do what was supposed to be done, finish what they started, so to speak, with Elliot, and make Elliot do it when he is Mr. Robot. Like when he's in his mind, so to speak, his own mind maze and stuff like this. And he's like, oh, that's it, like we're calling off stage 2 and stuff like this and everything like this. And he's like, you know what, we'd both be dead. And it's just like, what? Because he's also asking, is Tyrell involved from the beginning? Which is what I was mentioning earlier. I was like, who really started this? Like, why are all these characters brought together, so to speak, in one? Like, what is their bigger picture? Why were some eliminated before others, so to speak? Why was this person killed? And were these things not just out of coincidence? Like, it's like, they know this person may have seen something or whatever, and like, bang, like this person's down. Like, obviously some people were involved, but in a way, like, I don't believe heavily involved, as we can say, like Elliot or Darlene or Angela. So why were they killed off? And if they're willing to do that to Elliot, again, it kind of takes me back. Like, did they do that to Elliot's dad and Angela, and they just hoped or saw or made their parents make them a certain way growing up so that eventually they would go to them? And it really makes you wonder, like, how long has this been going on, so to speak? And then when Elliot is like, like, we'd both be dead and everything, and is Tyrell involved from the beginning? Darlene asking that question. It's like, no, everything, blah, 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 bye. We need to survive and everything like this. And then he's kind of like, he's like, what happened to Cisco and everything like this? And that's when Darlene's like, go fuck yourself, dude. Like, after what we've been through, and then you want to throw that back in my face? Because, he's just like talking to a wall. And Darlene's like frustrated with that. So, everything's at least stopped for now and everything. And, this revolution, it's kind of not the revolution again that he hoped for, not the revolution that he had in mind, that he had planned, Elliot, the individual, and not, let's say, Evil Corp or White Rose or the puppet master behind them. It was Elliot's revolution. Elliot led F Society to do this and that for the better of us. But in the end, none of that happened. When Elliot really, like, reflects on it and is like, nothing what I planned, this is not what I've seen. Like, he's like looking at the world, I guess with the term without rose-colored glasses. I don't know if that term would work here. But in a way, if you think about it, like, yeah. And as he's like, what, he's thinking about all of this and like talking to himself in a way, and like we see these FEMA things and everything, like, which is like aid for people. I don't know if anyone out of the US knows what that is, but like I guess maybe the Red Cross. I feel like internationally people should know what the Red Cross is, something like that. So for you guys that don't know, and some about the weaknesses, and then we see Trump and we see prison, and I was thinking about the wall because they kind of show like the wall that Trump wants to build again. America, we have Donald Trump as president, and he wants to build this huge wall between the United States and Mexico. It's like immigration safety or whatever, but in reality, President Trump is a racist. Off of that tangent. He's like, this really wasn't a revolution and everything, and we're just docile because we're here for slaughter. And it's kind of like making that prison out of the wall, where it's like imprisoning yourself without even realizing it. kind of like Elliot did, where he built these walls around himself, but the only person he walled in was himself. He didn't wall in F Society, he didn't wall in Evil Corp, he didn't do this. He kind of just he played himself, I guess, in a way, if you think about it. And maybe that's what he's coming to realize. And I think later on in the series, we're going to see a lot more self realization and self awakening from Elliot. But it is again very hard to tell, and we're not going to know where this is all going to lead up to. And I mean, if Elliot ends up dead one time, I mean, one day in the series, from one time doing or saying something that takes, I don't know, White Rose off, or who knows what he's going to do. But again, he's going off in like this little like speech to himself, so to speak, and everything like this. I guess anyone who's listening will listen, but you know what I mean. And he's talking about Adam Smith and capitalism, and then he's like, there's no one really to blame but myself, because he's looking at Gideon and Shayla on this memoriam thing, and he's like, I did this. Like, he's realizing that Elliot Alderson was the one who did this. It wasn't Mr. Robot, like how he told Darlene, like, it wasn't me. And, like, which is why I said, like, physically it was Elliot. Like, if you think about it, like, it was Elliot who did this, even though it was Mr. Robot. He's kind of having this split personality breakdown thing. It all comes back to Elliot. It all comes down to Elliot. It all, I guess, leads to Elliot being somewhat of a mastermind, but not truly, to think that, wow, this is what happened, and this is what is going on, and reflecting on it, yes, not only did I play a part in this, but I am the reason for X, Y, and Z, and for X, Y, and Z not in that parallel universe, so to speak, reflecting back to the beginning of this episode, and what he hoped for, and what actually did come out, and what was the outcome. So then we found out that he's back at the barbecue place, and that same lady about the milkshake in the beginning with Bobby Cannavale's character was like, sir, you need to leave. So it's all raining and everything like this. So Elliot was probably, like having a moment for a while, which is why I say, like, are these things really happening, or is Elliot, just having another moment? Like, you never really know with Elliot sometimes like this, and with this series. So he's saying that he needs a job at Evil Corp, and Angela's like, I mean, I'll try, but I don't know if you're gonna get in. Because, Angela's like, yeah, like, I work with Evil Corp, but no. Like, Angela tries to play not innocent or sly, but I guess dumb, like, I'll try it, Elliot. In the sense of, like, I don't know how I got a job at Evil Corp, ha ha ha, but it's like, girl, we know. And basically, blah blah blah, and he says, you need to keep an eye on me, and tell me apart and everything like this, and like, me better than anyone, and like, we need trust. And I think he goes in for a kiss, and I was just like, girl, because she says no. I would have kissed Elliot, but anyways, basically, that was like a mistake and stuff like this, and it hurts Elliot, because to Elliot, Angela is someone who has love for people who don't love her, which is kind of, I guess, if you think about it, maybe more or less the reason why he didn't like Angela's boyfriend from season 1, finding out like he was a cheater and stuff, but like kind of like, not only did he know that he was cheating on Angela, but I guess Elliot does really like Angela, but he knows what kind of a person Angela is. And again, he mentions that is her power saver mode, which is, ta-da, the title of this episode. Again, so it's always wondering, like, if that is her way of putting up a defense, is Elliot's power saver mode Mr. Robot? He doesn't exhaust himself, he doesn't do this, and he doesn't remember those things because it's not him, it's Mr. Robot. So if everyone has a power saver mode according to Elliot's logic, then what is Darlene's, what is Dom's, what is White Rose's, what is Price's, what was Gideon's and Shayla's, I mean, he kind of speaks about each individual and who they are and how he's hacked them, but even though he knows these things, he doesn't. And it's always I would say, like a revelation to him in a way, when certain actions happen that he initiated or whatever, and it's just like, he's kind of taken aback in a way, and he kind of makes him think, and he's just like, huh. So that's their thing, It kind of makes him look at himself, maybe, in certain points or attributes and stuff like this. So, anyways, she starts like crying a little bit and everything like that. And he's like, "What's wrong?" and stuff. And then she kind of again asks like if they can make it like if nothing happened, like everything that's ever happened in their lives that led up to this moment where they are standing face to face with each other. Like, would you help me be willing to play a part in this, so to speak? Like, would you want to be a part of this grand master plan? And that's when Elliot's kind of like, and that's when I thought either Sam Esmail's gonna pull an American Horror Story with us and make us like Angela has superpowers now, like she's a witch of the coven, or there is a time machine and they're gonna go to a parallel universe or something like this. That's when I'm like, huh, maybe Evil Corpse working on the time machine that Angela knows about. But I don't know, like that's where I was wondering. I was like, is this going to like some kind of sci-fi tangent or something like this, and or supernatural? I don't know. I mean, you never know, but that's when that was said. I was like, what? And then like, I mean, to Elliot, he's like, what do you mean? That doesn't really make sense. And she's just like, never mind. Like Angela just gives up, and she's just like, I guess like you wouldn't understand and stuff like this. And they're like, oh, I'm tired and blah blah blah. And then she's like, stay here tonight. And I was wondering where this fish was, Cordy. I think that's how you pronounce it, Cordy. Elliot's little fish. I was like, no one's fed that fish for like what 2 seasons now. But she has the fish and everything, and he kind of falls asleep. And he's just like, and when he closes his eyes, it's zoom, and we can see like Cordy's right here. So he's like, and the fish is just swimming around that little bowl. So that's where I was like, she kept his fish somehow. Which I'm also wondering, now that I think about it, I'm like, where's Flipper? I totally forgot what happened to Flipper. But, anywho, so Angela's with the candle, and she's like, Elliot? It's not Elliot. It's Mr. Robot. So it's like Elliot snapped into Mr. Robot pretty fast, and he's obviously still not dead. Now, where is that going to lead Angela to? So, they're like, come closer and everything like this. And that reminded me of Maleficent, when Aurora is like, come into the light or something. Like, I won't be afraid. And she's like, but then you'll be afraid. And like Maleficent shows up. She's like, oh shit. Like, that's kind of like, I guess, this moment happening between Mr. Robot and Angela and stuff like this. So we're like, okay, we need to get dressed and we'll go and everything like this. And here's this picture of her and her mom. And stage 2, and they're gonna pick up Darlene, and they need to close the back door with him, and we'll find a way, to do what we have to do. And she's like, you know what they're expecting? I was like, let's just go. And he's asking her, what is this? And she's like, oh, this is in case Elliot comes back. And Mr. Robot's like, how does she know? Because it does seem like we are seeing two very separate individual people, very specific attitudes, point of views, and mindsets. Like, we are looking at two, again, not even personalities, but just different people, like two individuals, and not really just one. Not Elliot being like, I'm Mr. Robot now, like not like a switch that's turned on and off, but two, again, entities, I should say, in one vessel, so to speak. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense to any of you out there, but that's kind of what I'm thinking and everything like this. And he's always kind of wondering, I guess, at Angela, like, how can she know? Because that part of Elliot is still Elliot, if you think about it. And I guess maybe Angela recognizes something that's different, but at the same time she doesn't. But who's to say which is which? And with Angela, I mean, I guess there's a way that she knows. And anyways, she says that they're gonna leave already and blah blah blah. And Mr. Robot again asks her, like, how do you tell us apart? And with Angela, she says that he never looks away, like the eyes never look away. So with Elliot, it's like he's looking, but he's always kind of like, he never really wants to like look Angela in the eye. I mean, we know Elliot has a thing with like touch or interaction with people, but it's kind of like, I guess like an awkwardness that he has while Mr. Robot's like staring Angela down, like, who is she? Like examining her, like trying to figure her out, like, who is this Angela Moss? Really, like, not who is Angela Moss, but who is Angela Moss? What are Angela Moss's intentions? Why is she here? What is she doing with us? What is she doing with stage 2? How does she know what stage 2 is? Who is White Rose? Because obviously I'm sure this Mr. Robot in the back of Elliot's head, so to speak, is like the omniscient character that comes out. But again, it's like, I don't even think they know who they are. let alone who Angela is, who Joanna is, who Tyrell is, who this is. Because obviously it's both people experiencing the same things twice, but with two different, like I say, entities seeing it out of the same eyes, if that makes any sense again. So, anywho, they move apart from there, and we see Angela and Mr. Robot. They see Bobby Cannavale's character. And it's kind of like, how did Elliot change his mind? Because obviously, when he was meeting with Elliot at the barbecue place with Darlene, it's like they were talking to Elliot. They were talking to a totally different person. And that's where Angela's just like, look, you told me to like basically keep an eye on this guy and like do what I have to do, and I'm doing it. Like, I don't need these questions. I don't need you to know what I'm doing, even though she didn't do much, I guess. She's just like, okay, like, Elliot, stay here. You got shot in the stomach. Like, I'll take care of him. But then it's like, what'd you do? And she's like, I'm just doing what I was told to do. Like, in shorthand, she's doing what she had to do. She brought Elliot to them as Mr. Robot, and she's like, okay, like, do what you have to do. Like, that's what you hired me for. That's what you're paying me for, so to speak. And it's just like, it's like I've never met this person. Like, we've never met and everything like this. And they're behind schedule, and she mentions that they need to get him a job at Evil Corp. And then it's like, sure, we'll get him a job at Evil Corp and stuff like this. So, good to go. Good to go. And then when they open the door, we see Tyrell and goes, oh, like, Tyrell's like, oh, like, breaking down, like, I killed Elliot, to now kind of just be like, Elliot. Like, Elliot's back. Like, like, oh, yay. Like, he didn't die. He didn't do, like, he's not a mess. And he's not, I guess, in a worse condition than maybe Tyrell was thinking. Like, even though Tyrell knew, like, he was going to be good after surgery and stuff like this, after he was reassured, it's kind of like, I guess, to see him, he's like, oh, you're well. Like, you're up on your feet, but you're also like, what's wrong with you? I guess that's kind of what Tyrell's thinking. Like, I'm happy to see you, but there's something different about you. Which, again, we are seeing it's Mr. Robot. They're seeing it as Elliot, and they don't know. Truly, that Elliot has this thing going on, I guess you can say, where it isn't him carrying out their plan, where it isn't him carrying out stage 2, where it isn't him working with the Dark Army, working with White Rose, pulling everyone's strings there, possibly, but just doing what has to be done at certain times. XYZ at 1, 2, 3. And stuff like this. So, anyways, he's trying to look up this power plant and everything like this, and Tyrell and Angela are kind of like, because they're looking at that power plant that I guess we saw in the beginning. And again, I'm like, is he going to destroy a time machine? Are we going to go back in time because he like does something nuclear fission, or who knows? I don't know how time machines work, to put it that way. And then we're on the train, and it's Angela and Mr. Robot. It goes, like, why are you doing this and stuff? And he's like, I won't talk with you like I talk with Elliot. It's basically Angela's response, because she's like, I don't know who I'm talking to, but I just know it's not Elliot, but I don't know truly who I'm talking to, because we all know it's Mr. Robot. But again, Angela's very wary of what she says, even though they're the same person. It's like the same person, but they're not, but the same person, but worse. I'm pretty sure if she reveals information in some way, shape, or fashion, and that leads Mr. Robot to derail, so to speak, and make Elliot do something, and make him do something, and conflict, and obviously cause a bigger mess and problem than I guess they have trying to contain him, so to speak, and everything like this. So, she's like, not, I guess, gonna be the one to tell him a lie or anything like this. And it's just like, between the both of them, like, they don't know what to think about each other. And I'm pretty sure Mr. Robot truly doesn't know what to think about Angela again, because it's like, who is this Angela girl? Like, why is she so, like, close with Elliot? And, like, what does Elliot see in her and stuff like that? And Angela's kind of just like, I'm not gonna, like, be here with that unique condition of yours and stuff like this. And then they started, and, they need to help finish all of this, and they're going to push each other along and everything like this. And they need to not only help each other, but kind of be there for each other, I guess, if you want to think about it. Because Elliot is like, Angela's still here. And Angela's like, oh, Elliot's okay. Because she works with Evil Corp, and obviously she knows what's going on, I guess, to a certain extent, or what she's allowed to know. And Elliot is like, oh, I know Angela's like in trouble or this or like she probably knows or I don't know. And it's like, Angela's okay. Like they're both like, phew, they're still alive. But then again, that's just face value because in their minds, kind of like they have their own thing going on and what they're doing and what their actions and what their intentions are, which we never really see them interact with, which is what I think Mr. Robot is probably that living, breathing intention talking to Angela, trying to be like, so what is the truth of Angela Moss? And Angela Moss is like, I'm gonna keep this wall up, my power saver mode, and not talk to you because I don't know who you are and what you do. And I guess that's fair for her because, again, when Elliot's Mr. Robot, she doesn't know who she's talking to, really. She doesn't know what those intentions are. And she talks about, like, how her mom was killed and she wanted justice, but how do you touch something that's so untouchable and bring it to light, such as Evil Corp, with how big they are and their reach and their tentacles of power, like stretching farther than they ever thought was possible, and everything like this. And she's like, you know what? I may win, after all this crazy beautiful plan works out and blah blah blah. And I mean, if she has a time machine or something and that works out for her, then she's like, everything will be normal, or maybe she'll have control again. That illusion that Elliot talks about, I mean, obviously, will either of them ever have control or perfect life? Probably not. And she's like, you know what, all of that happened when she met White Rose. Like, she didn't know anything about this until she met White Rose, so to speak. And she's like, she opened my eyes. And, like, undoing all this damage and, like, the success was going to be this whole new world, and the power comes back on. And, like, the song is playing. I forget what the song is called. And with that being said, that is the end of episode 1. And again, like I say, it's a lot of begs the question, a lot of, like, makes you think, kind of do, like, a double take and wondering again, like, true intentions. Who are these people? Who are our characters? Who are the people running the characters in the series? Like, like, who's running Angela? Who's running Elliot? Like, what is stage 2? What is Tyrell? Like, what is Mr. Robot, really? And again, kind of wondering, like, if Angela wants to undo everything that Elliot started, Elliot set out from the beginning of the series to do, who is in charge? Who is the one in power? Again, who is White Rose? Who is Evil Corp at its core, puppet master? And again, as the series goes on and as I recap each episode, we're going to find out a little bit more and touch upon little theories and stuff like that. But anywho, I want to say hi to Rami Malek, stay safe and God bless, and I will see you in the next recap.